Shall we take a trip down to Somalia? Ladies and gentlemen, Somali Muslims are apparently taking over the United States of America. We're going to jump right into a tour from Roca News inside America's Somali capital, Minneapolis. I'm Tala Traveling Clad, your sweet Zionist prince. If you want to be a sweet Zionist prince or princess like me, you can get the merch down below in the description at travelingclad.com. Let's just get right into this shindig, baby.
Here is Minneapolis. Specifically, it's the Somali neighborhood within Minneapolis that has recently become controversial due to two figures. Congresswoman
Ilhan Omar of Minnesota.
Dumbing of the United States has arrived.
And mayoral candidate Omar Fateh.
It's where Democratic Socialist State Senator Omar Fateh is now just 5 points behind Jacob Fry.
Magalada, Minneapolis.
There may be no immigrant community in the nation more tied to its political leaders than the Somalis in Minnesota, so we decided to go past the clickbait and culture war and explore the community with curiosity.
That's what America stands for. Like, everybody's segregated in their own community.
But they're walking around in sandals in the winter and you're just going, oh my God.
What's it really like? Do they love America?
Our children will take a gun to defend national interest of the United States.
Our journey took us to a massive open-air Somali mall, which a cop escorted us out of, to Omar Fateh's campaign HQ, to a studio where we interviewed Somalia's parliamentarian who actually lives in Minnesota. Come with us to Minneapolis.
We in Minneapolis, man. Murderapolis, bitch, get in tune.
That was not the greeting we expected when we pulled into Cedar Riverside.
Misconception in my eyes would be that Somali community are a threat. No, before Somali, we're Muslim. And Somali people that are real Muslims that are on their deen and on their way, peaceful. 3 mosques just in walking distance right now as we speak, and it's so beautiful that you can just take your feet and just walk to the mosque. Everything's easy over here.
I asked Salim how he ended up in Minneapolis, and he told us that he was actually born in Kenya, which many Somalis fled to after its government collapsed in 1991.
Obviously, I'm an immigrant, but at the end of the day, this country welcomed me. For my family to strive in this country, I'm glad and I'm thankful.
But Salim then fell into hot water in South Dakota, where he was charged for murder.
To this day, if you Google my name, Sioux Falls, you're gonna see murder. It's called defamation of character for real. I missed the birth of my niece.
Something you didn't do.
Something I didn't even do. Yeah. I feel like I got a little story to tell too. My name's Salim Muhammad, man, and I ain't not a murderer.
Yeah, well, dude, I'm glad at least you're out now, and hopefully you get justice.
Justice been served, but to who?
We left Salim and turned the corner where we saw the fire he referenced, and also tried to interview some locals. We're trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah,
you know what happened?
No,
I don't know. Do you know what happened here? I don't know. Well, do you know what happened here?
I don't know.
What surprised us was how many Somalis we met who moved to Minneapolis from other states. There's really been a second migration to Minneapolis for Somalis, first to America and then concentrating there. One of the Somalis who's done just that is Omar Fateh, who was born in D.C.
Yo, Abdelkader Yassin, Team Kega, we need volunteers.
Today, nearly 100,000 Somalis live in Minnesota, and the majority of them are in the Twin Cities.
And I want to speak directly to the Somali community. Minneapolis is your city.
We are in Cedar Riverside, which is the Somali capital, not just of Minneapolis, but of the U.S. And right behind us are some of their apartment buildings. This is the sort of center of where the Somalis live. Now, 50% of the people in this neighborhood speak Somali, and we're talking to some of the residents. We then met the facilities manager of these towers, who's managed them for nearly 50 years.
But I've worked in it for 46 years.
How has it changed?
Just different immigrants.
So a lot of Somalis live here?
Yes. In fact, I think it's one of the largest populations in the cities. Yes, I think they do kind of stick to themselves, but I have a bunch of them that work under me, and they're pretty social. Some of the first ones came here, and I know it's a money issue, but they're walking around in sandals in the winter, and you're just going, oh my God. But they came here. Once they got established here, then they follow each other. Right. So they want to be with people that speak the same language, and it has changed a lot. There's several bars that used to have live music, the last of which just closed a few weeks ago. And the Somali East African people have been buying those buildings up for daycare centers, mosques, and various things. So the neighborhood's changed a lot, but I consider it an evolution.
This Omar Fateh, who's running for mayor, do you have an opinion on him?
Not a real positive one, but...
You like Jacob Fry?
better than I like Omar.
Yeah. It was during this conversation that we actually saw Omar Fateh. Oh my goodness, I think that's Omar Fateh right there. We gotta go try to interview him. How are you? Nice to meet you. Hello. We didn't want to shove the camera in his face, so we asked him for an interview, then later implored his campaign team to talk to us. Unfortunately, no luck. Everywhere we looked in this area, we saw Omar Fateh signs, and his popularity has enraged the right, including Trump's Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, and other conservative voices who consider him a travesty.
Well, the Democrat Party has become a party that aids and encourages violence.
Fateh has indeed made a number of controversial claims.
The greatest domestic threat facing the United States comes from, quote, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race.
But he's not the only Somali politician who's done that. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who's elected to Congress alongside AOC in 2018, has invited much controversy herself.
Our country should be more fearful of white men because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
Yeah, there is nothing more up than to completely pretend that his words have not been recorded. These people are full of shit.
You know, I met the head of Somalia, did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he didn't want it.
And while Somalis remain a minority in Minneapolis, Ilhan Omar and Fateh have both struck alliances with white progressives, making them a formidable force. But sometimes this alliance has proven unwieldy, like with gender ideology in schools. Somali parents demanded their kids be pulled out of gender classes. One mom told the school board, "We believe that we have a sacred obligation to teach the principles of our faith to our children without being undermined by the schools." This caused one school board member to cry and tell the Somali women that the queer community has been so good to them. We kept walking around looking for interviews and then stumbled upon an 8th grader playing basketball on one of its courts. Do you want to play one-on-one?
Yeah.
No, we're cutting that.
Let's skip through here a little bit. I'm interested to go.
It wasn't just in Cedar Riverside that the Somalis lived. We next visited the massive open-air Somali mall just a few miles away, where we had a little snag. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please make sure to subscribe. We capture the world without bias or fear, and these kind of videos bring that mission to life. The right want to make Somalis look bad, the left want to elevate them. We try to just hold a mirror. If you support that mission, hit subscribe. Now back to Minneapolis. All right, so we're pulling up on the Somali Mall in the area, the Carmel Mall, which is the largest Somali mall. The Carmel Mall was massive. These shots simply don't do it justice, and this footage probably won't do the overwhelming sense of alienation we felt inside it justice either. All right, so we're gonna go inside the Carmel Mall, which is fashioned after an open-air Somali bazaar. There's a fashion store here, some jewelry, totally different style of mall here. You get the henna stand over here. The scale of this mall is enormous. It makes sense that there are about 80,000 Somalis in Minnesota, the vast majority of whom are in this area. So right at the end of this mall, by the way, you have a mosque.
Within our community, we usually send money back home to the less fortunate.
So up there they have a money place you can send back
right there.
All right, so this is what he's talking about in the front, a place where you can easily send money back home or wherever. Roughly 40,000 Minnesotans were born in Somalia, so many are still in close touch with their families back home. The link between Somalia and Minnesota can't be overstated. The president of Somalia often visits, and some Somali politicians live in the Twin Cities, like the parliamentarian we interviewed later. I would say in all the reporting we've done, this is one of the most difficult spots to get an interview. People are very guarded here. I don't know if it's because they assume there's a hit piece or they simply don't want to talk at all. People have been extremely guarded and in some cases a little hostile. We continue to walk around the Carmel Mall when, as if we weren't out of place enough already, a cop came to escort us to building management. Yeah, it's called Roka News. We do this all over the country.
Yes, I told the camera.
Oh, you saw the camera? Yeah.
So where's the YouTube?
Roka News. ROCA News. All right, so we were just pulled aside by security. Now we're okay, though, to film inside. So one interesting thing is when a store is unoccupied, people won't necessarily lock it. We've seen a lot of unattended to stores. So it's clearly like a high trust community here, and we are the only two white guys in all 4 floors of this. It's very unique. So here's an open eating area, Somali flag, and Palestine flags. So they got a couple new style of pizzas I've never seen. The Oddcock pizza. I don't know how to say the Halib Jakal, a la Makan. Different kinds of pizza. So behind us on the rooftop of the cafeteria, you can see the Somali flag. Some people, at least on social media, talked about how it's very similar to the new Minnesota flag. And so they wondered if there might have been some overlap there. Others say that's ridiculous, but that was a topic of conversation.
A couple recent polls, somewhere around half of Minnesotans said they wanted to keep the old flag.
We then interviewed a woman entrepreneur from Somalia who had some fascinating insights.
I moved from Sweden 5 years ago. What brought me? I came here because there was already Somali community established. So I said, okay, let me go there so that I can start my business. Somali community are like huge supporters for each other.
The white Americans around, are they friendly? Are they not?
I know none of them. When I was coming to America for the first time, I was carrying a Swedish passport and I was black and hijabi, you know? And the officers in the immigration, they were like, they probably were expecting a Viking. That's what America stands for. Like everybody's segregated in their own community. White people are with white people. Somali people are with Somali people.
Well, that's not really how I would represent it. I do want to see this Somalis in America bit.
But you're saying that's not at all the case.
That's not the case. And I'm representing a state called Puntland. We have been fighting ISIS. The only backer who supported us, Americans. Somalis came in Minnesota or in the United States in 1993. When there was a famine, President Bush sent U.S. military to Somalia. The reason was to save the starving people. I appreciate that. Somali Americans belong to this great nation. Somalis in America, again and again, love United States of America. They want to defend American value. Any rhetoric statements or negative words doesn't represent one ethnicity. Somali Americans, they are in the military, they are in healthcare industry, they are teachers, they are policemen and women. Anything that hurts the image of our community is unacceptable to us. I'm Somali American.
Okay, so let's get in. I don't want to watch the whole video. If you guys want to watch the full video, definitely go to Roka News' YouTube channel and take a look. It's uploaded 3 weeks ago. It's got 1 million views. Actually, let's take a look real quick. I'm just curious what the comments say because I have my own. As an African, I'm curious why some people choose to leave their home place to move to a place that's supposedly better, only want to resemble their own. It's a bit puzzling to me. That's what I was going to say. They're in the U.S. because of money and entitlements, not for culture or the love of America. Their hearts and minds are still in Somalia. Why are they here if their country and culture are so great? It's an unanswerable question. All right, listen. Let me say something about Somalis. I happen to be in my line of work, which is arguing and debating with jihadists often. I happen to speak to many Somalis throughout the week, and I've uploaded not a few debates with Somalis, and they happen to be the most open-minded of the, I would say, when I speak to an Islamist that's from Somalia, they have the most open-minded and willing to have conversations with me from many of the jihadists. And that's because here's the story with Somalia. Somalia was Islamized. It was Arabized. And the history of how it got Islamized and Arabized, in their narrative is it was done through peace and through trade. But the reality is that those records are hidden. We don't really know because it's being told only by the the leaders of the Islamic community. So we don't really know how Somalia got to the point where it did today. I assume that because Islam doesn't have a clean track record of Islamizing any country peacefully, probably it was done by force, and their original religions and their original culture was taken from them by force and erased. Now, the reality is they seem to be very, very kind and good-hearted people. Their politics and ideology in the Middle East are absolutely retarded. Like every single Somali I've spoken to is pretty much pro-Palestinian, and for the most part, they can't think for themselves because they struggle from the same issue that, for example, Sudanese do, and Indonesians do, and Pakistanis do, where they're not allowed to think for themselves. They have to swear allegiance to some random fucking Islamic nation, I don't want to name who, that doesn't give a shit about them and doesn't see them as equals anyways. It's a weird dynamic, but do I think that they could be contributing members of society in America? 100%. I think that Somali Americans specifically are the most they have the biggest potential to de-Arabize and de-Islamize themselves. That doesn't mean they need to stop being Arabized peoples or Islamized peoples. This doesn't mean they need to stop being Muslims. God forbid. It just means to de-Arabize and de-Islamize the hostility that you have in your soul. Because many will have anti-Western thoughts. Many will have a supremacist ideology about Islamism and Muslims. And so I think that they potentially have the biggest chance, and maybe even living in America, if more outreach was done to Americanize them, right? To not, and this is the main issue, is to not encourage them constructing 5 million mosques and basically kicking out all the white Americans from Minneapolis and taking over fully. To not creating a mini Somalia in America. They're doing the exact opposite from that, because here's the reality. It isn't like Chinese culture. Somali culture is not probably compatible, at least in its current form, with American values. It's not going to survive, or at least it's not going to able to be live compatibly with American values 100%. It's a very important topic to talk about, and I think that Somali Americans should heed that warning that if you go ahead and create a mini Somalia in America, that this is not going to make you more American. Okay, now I think many Somalians probably don't want to be more American. They want to preserve and be proud of the culture that they have, but that's a mistake. Okay, if you really want to be a Somali, it probably is best to be your full Somali self in Somalia. America should not conform to the will of Somali immigrants moving to America. And it's because, specifically in its current form, because it's so Islamic, it's just never going to jive fully with American values, and you're always going to get that rift. But I have compassion for these people because I do think that they're lovely, and the ones that I've spoken to have been overwhelmingly very, very, very friendly. And even when they're extremist and racist, they're very friendly and understanding, and I think that they have the best potential to become good Americans. But they need help. It's not going to happen on its own. Will that help come? I don't believe so, and I believe that the problem will just exacerbate itself. But we'll see what happens. I'll see you guys next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, class.
Has this ever happened to you? Hey, are you a Zionist?
What is this hesitation? You think Judah the Maccabee was hesitating when he's fighting for Israel?
Here, take this.
Do you think Queen Esther hesitated before stopping Haman from ending the Jews of Persia?
Well,
hey Habibi, you think Herzl thought he was a white colonizer as he Zionized the Jews of Europa? Listen, kid. I don't care if you're a Muslim, a Jew, or a Christian. You're a Zionist, right?
Yeah.
Well, a good Zionist goes to thetravelingclad.com and buys some provocative merchandise.
They do?
Absolutely, a bitch. I have some incredible designs for you, Yeled. They say everything promised to you 3,000 years ago. Here, take a shirt with a matching hat. For you, good price. They say they kick you from 109 countries. Here, join the 109 club. Take shirt and matching hat. For you, good price. Habibi, you want to Zionize? Here, take shirt, matching hat. You like Kuba Select shel Safta? Here, take shirt, matching hat. Take sticker, take hoodie. Take, good price, take, good price, take, good price, take, good price, take.
Yossi, achi, he understand you, stop!
A good Zionist goes to thetravelingclad.com and buys merch. Yalla, Habibi, for you, good price. If you don't want to buy any merchandise, the best way to support me is by donating on Buy Me a Coffee, my PayPal, or becoming a member on my Patreon. Your support is very much needed and very much appreciated. Thank you.